You're not watching this video by chance. I led you here. Amidst so many voices, distractions, and paths, there was a whisper that touched your heart, and it was in that whisper that heaven decided to act. You might think you clicked out of curiosity or landed here by mistake, but I tell you, it was my love that brought you, because there's something urgent you need to hear, before it's too late. You've been following roads that seem safe, making choices you think are right, seeking answers in places that only feed your ego but not your soul. And even with all the warnings I've sent, you keep walking, you keep insisting, you keep deviating. But today, right now, I can no longer allow you to continue without understanding what's at stake. Son, daughter, if you continue on this path, you will lose what you love most. You will lose something I myself gave you as a gift, as a blessing, something that should bring you closer to me, but now is about to become a source of separation. This is not a threat, it is a warning. It is mercy crying out louder than judgment. I don't speak to everyone this way, but to you today I speak, because time is running out, and the gap that can still be closed today, tomorrow can become a wide open door. What is pain today, tomorrow can become loss. And if you don't stop now, what is valuable can become just a memory. Don't let spiritual blindness make you despise what I'm still trying to save. Now stop, breathe, feel this presence that is there with you. That shiver is no coincidence. It's the touch of my voice trying to wake you up. But why is all this happening right now? Why has this video arrived at this exact moment in your life? Prepare your heart, because in the next moment, I'm going to show you what's hidden behind this silent pain you feel but don't understand. I see what no one else sees, even what you've learned to mask with a smile. I know the weight you've been carrying in your chest as you try to convince yourself everything's okay, but inside your soul is exhausted. You're tired, lost, confused, trying to maintain strength while silently screaming for help. And this pain isn't recent. It's been lingering inside you for much longer than you'd like to admit. You once promised yourself you would change, that you would pray again, that you would seek my presence more, that you would leave behind what had distanced you. But the days passed, and instead of improving, the emptiness grew. That fire that once gave you peace, direction, and purpose now seems almost extinguished. You still miss the time when you felt me close, but you're afraid to look back and realize how far you've drifted. The truth is, your heart has been wounded, and survival has replaced intimacy. I saw you make decisions with a broken heart. I saw you accept less than you deserved just to avoid feeling alone. I saw you try to keep up appearances even as it stifled your truth. And I also saw you disconnect from me, not out of rebellion, but to protect yourself. The depth of your faith became appearance, truth became silence, and now you are here, searching for a spark of what was once a living flame. You sense something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Everything seems normal on the outside, but inside there's chaos. A void you tried to fill with distractions, human promises, quick spiritualizations, but they only push the pain further. And now, your soul cries for help. You miss your truest self, the one who cried for your presence, not just for fear of loss. And do you know why it hurts so much now? Because you still love me. There is still a living covenant between us. There is still an altar, even in ruins, that I recognize. The pain you feel today is the echo of the covenant we made. It is the spirit within you, trying to awaken what has been dormant. You may have made bad choices, entered places that wounded your essence, entrusted your heart to someone who didn't know how to care for it, but I'm still here, waiting, calling, not by merit but by alliance. And today, more than ever, you need to hear what heaven has to say, because pain didn't come to destroy, but to prevent you from losing what you should never let go of. Prepare yourself. What comes now is an answer. It is confrontation, It is love. Now tell me honestly, have you been feeling spiritually tired even after praying? Have you been going to sleep at night, but waking up even more exhausted inside? Have you noticed that your faith remains alive, but without strength? If any of these symptoms have been part of your journey, write in the comments which one has been the hardest to bear. This could be the beginning of a new era, and your answer will be a sign that there is still something within you crying out for restoration. Now listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you is not to be understood with reason, but discerned by the Spirit. This is not just another message. It is a call direct from heaven. And you need to listen seriously, because what is about to happen in your life no longer depends on time, but on your response. The decision you make in the face of this word will determine what remains and what is lost. Son, I've been there for you every moment no one saw you. I've witnessed the conflicts you hide, the thoughts that torment you before bed, the silent tears you wipe away to appear strong. I've seen you accept mistakes as part of your routine. I've seen you try to justify actions you knew were distancing you from me. I've seen you ignore warnings, believing you'd have time to fix them later, but now you're just steps away from a rupture that could cost you more than you're prepared to lose. You believe you're in control, that you can still recover whenever you want, but time is running out. The line between grace and consequence is thinner than ever. And if you continue to ignore the signs, you'll lose something precious, something that can still be restored today, but that tomorrow may already be gone. You were not created to live shallowly, hiding your gifts and suffocating your essence. I set you apart for a greater purpose, but you've sabotaged that plan with small, silent, yet destructive choices. You're exchanging the eternal for momentary satisfactions. You're compromising your spiritual heritage for emotional crumbs. And yet I remain here, not distant, but close, watching you, calling you, insisting on love. It is precisely because I love you so much that I speak with this intensity. Because if you don't stop now, you will be crossing a dangerous threshold. The loss you fear most is already approaching, but it can still be avoided. Your peace, your family, your dreams, everything is tied to the decisions you make. And if you notice things are falling apart, that your discernment is weakening, understand, this is a consequence, not a coincidence. I am still your Father, and even if you feel you no longer deserve it, I continue to call you. Because on this side, something powerful is being prepared, and only those who return in time will experience what I'm about to reveal. Now that this word has found space in your spirit, here is a spiritual challenge. If you feel that God spoke to you today, write in the comments, with sincerity and faith, the phrase, "I'll be back before it's too late." This simple act is more than a comment. It's a statement. It's a sign to heaven that you've heard, understood, and decided not to ignore the call. Let's form a feedback loop here in the comments, a public declaration that there are still children responding to the Father's voice. Do you accept this challenge? Then write, "Because heaven is reading." Now close your eyes for a moment, not to escape, but to see, because what I want to show you today isn't before your natural eyes. It's behind the scenes of what the world doesn't see, but the Spirit feels. What you're experiencing is deeper than you imagine. And to understand what's really happening, you need to look with the eyes of faith, sensitivity, and spiritual obedience. See, there's a road before you. Everything on it seems calm, stable, even inviting. There are tall trees along the banks, shadows that soothe the heat, and a landscape that seems harmless. But as you walk, something begins to change. The ground becomes sandier, the sounds become confused, and the light that once illuminated everything begins to slowly fade. It is at this moment that the road reveals its truth. It is beautiful on the outside, but it hides deep holes and silent traps. It was not built by me, It was created to seduce you and drive you away. You're there, walking, believing there's still time to go back, and there is. But not for long. With each step, the landscape becomes denser, the air heavier, and before you rises a thick curtain of unresolved decisions, unspoken words, contaminating alliances, hidden sins and pain you've swept under the rug. This curtain is the veil that's preventing you from seeing the gravity of the place you're treading. Now take a closer look. Behind this curtain lies an abyss, a deep, dark, silent void. And above it hovers something precious, what you love most. It could be a person, a calling, a promise, a door I myself have opened in your life, and that something is there, suspended, unstable, about to fall, because of your insistence on following a path I've already asked you to abandon. As you walk, angels around you reach out, trying to pull you back. They scream silently. They whisper in your dreams. They whisper warnings to people you ignore. They are there because there is still an invisible bridge between this path and the return to the promised route. But the bridge is narrowing, and if you take a few more steps, it will disappear. Do you know why? Because I don't force anyone to return. I call, I warn, I send signs, words, touches, and even tears. But the one who decides to listen is you. And right now, in this moment, you stand before this narrow bridge. On one side, the abyss that will consume what is precious. On the other, the opportunity to return. And I ask you with all my love, what will you choose? This vision isn't a fantasy. It's an accurate metaphor for what's happening inside you. And if you can see with your spirit, you'll understand that the time to change isn't tomorrow, or the day after, or when you're stronger. It's now. Because what you love is still within your grasp, but not for long. And perhaps you're wondering, how did I get here? Why did I drift so far away if I still love you? These questions will be answered in the next moment when I show you the reason behind this pain and the reason you were chosen to be confronted with so much love today. Son, the reason for all this is not punishment, it's realignment. The pain you're feeling now isn't punishment. It's a warning. It's like the groan of a heart that still beats even after so many wounds. It's not about deserving, it's about direction. Because my love for you is so deep that it won't allow me to passively watch you lose yourself trying to get it right. You were shaped by me for a purpose. Before any error existed, I had already designed a path of fulfillment for your life. A path where your soul would be at peace, where your identity would be preserved, where your communion with me would not be unstable or seasonal, but firm as a rock. But the voices around you, the pressures of life, the comparisons, the traumas, and the urgencies you absorbed ended up diverting your focus, pushing you down shortcuts that were never in my plans. You've been mistaking my silence for absence. But even the silence of heaven has a purpose, and what you felt as abandonment was actually me preparing the ground, because if I had responded the way you wanted, I would have kept you trapped in a comfort zone that wouldn't have supported the promise that is coming. I needed to confront you, not to humiliate you, but to position you, so that you would understand that the road to salvation doesn't always seem the prettiest, but it always leads to life. Pain, however difficult, is not a sign of rejection. It's a sign that something inside you still responds to my presence. What hurts you is what's still alive. And if it's alive, it can be restored, it can be healed, it can be realigned with my will for you, a will that is good, perfect, and pleasing. But you must trust that what's being taken away now isn't loss, it's protection. That what's being undone isn't injustice, it's deliverance. Often you pray for open doors, but you don't realize that you also need courage to close those that distance you from me. And this is the hardest part of alignment, accepting that not everything you want is what suits you. Not everything you love brings you closer to my plan, and not every company is a sign of blessing. Sometimes, true faith begins when you decide to let go of the hand of those who hinder your spiritual growth. Today, I call you to align your life with my will, to stop insisting on a direction that has lost its light, to recognize that my path is narrower, but it is safe, that my voice may not tell you what you want to hear, but it will take you where you truly need to be. Obedience never robs you, it protects you. Renunciation never weakens you, it positions you. And true repentance does not shame you, it reconnects you to the promise. You still have time. Heaven is still waiting for you. I didn't bring you here to expose you, but to lift you up. And what will happen after this decision will be so transformative that you will look back and understand. Everything that seemed like a loss was, in fact, the beginning of a new beginning. But before experiencing this turning point, you need to declare something. You need to verbalize what's happening inside. Because when your mouth aligns with your heart, something moves in the spiritual world. And that's what I'm going to ask of you next. An action that symbolizes your surrender, your decision, and your courage to return. Listen with your spirit, because now I declare over your life something that comes not from the earth, but from above. Something that is being released right now as you listen and choose to believe. For I am the God who transforms lamentation into dance, the desert into a garden, pain into testimony. And even if everything seems dark around you, my decree does not depend on the light of the environment, but on the authority I carry within me. Today I declare your wait was not in vain. The time you thought was lost will be restored. The shame that haunted you will be converted to honor. And what you thought had died, I will make it blossom again. Because the last word never belonged to pain, nor to error, nor to the enemy. It was always mine. And what I said about you remains. You are not being called back to start over small, but to enter a new season. With maturity, clarity, and authority, because what broke you also built you. The tears you shed in silence have become seeds, and now it's time to harvest. From this moment on, something begins to move behind the scenes in your life. Doors that have been blocked for months or even years will open. Unhealthy relationships will be undone with peace, and connections aligned with my purpose will arrive with confirmation. You won't lose what you love most. On the contrary, you will learn to love what truly matters. And when that happens, I will restore you with what is eternal, with what is solid, with what bears my seal. Because the restitution that comes from heaven is not just a return, it is elevation. And that is what I am preparing for you now. A new time, firm, healed, and filled with my presence. You've heard the warning, you've felt the confrontation, you've recognized what needs to change. Now, receive the promise. Because whoever returns to me with truth never returns empty-handed. Now is the time to put your faith into action. Because it's not enough to just feel, it's not enough to just be moved or acknowledge that the word has reached you. A true decision, when born of the Spirit, needs to be sealed with a visible and intentional action. It's not about religiosity nor empty ritual. It's about a conscious, spiritual stance. It's about showing to heaven and hell that you understood the call, accepted the correction, and decided to rise up. Because when someone takes action based on a word that came from above, that action carries eternal weight. It activates realignments, undoes accusations, breaks old cycles, and ushers in new seasons. This symbolic act I'm asking you to do today isn't to prove anything to anyone. It's not to impress others. It's something between you and the Father. It's a spiritual mark, a prophetic act, a way of recording, both in your heart and in the spiritual world, that something happened here, that this moment wasn't in vain, Because every time a heart aligns with mine, even silently, even without fanfare, there's an invisible impact that changes the surrounding environment. And even if no one sees, even if no one understands, heaven witnesses, the angels record, and the darkness recedes. So if this word spoke directly to you, if at any moment something burned within your chest, if tears fell without explanation, if your heart was confronted and at the same time embraced, then now I ask you for a simple yet powerful action. Touch your heart with one hand. Don't do it mechanically. Do it as if touching a sacred altar, because it is there in the center of your chest that my voice has found a home. It is there that my spirit is awakening something that has long been dormant. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Take a deep breath and say sincerely, even if your voice trembles, "Lord, I'm coming back. I don't want to lose what you've entrusted to me." These words aren't just a rant, they're a pact. They're the renewal of a covenant that, even weakened by time, was still alive. They're the beginning of a new cycle, and even if you don't yet see changes around you, something has already begun to happen within you. Because when someone says, "I'll be back," with sincerity, heaven listens. And when heaven listens, things begin to move. Doors that were closed begin to unlock. Hardened hearts begin to soften. Old wounds begin to heal. Because true surrender has the power to transform even what seemed lost. And if you feel like you need to take another step, if something inside you is saying, "I need to fully position myself," then write the following sentence in the comments right now. "I heard your voice, and I choose to return today." Don't put it off. Don't think it's just another sentence. Don't underestimate the power of a public statement. Because every time you confess something before men, heaven confirms it. And you close gaps that the enemy has been using to accuse you in silence. What you write now could be the breaking of a chain. It could be the end of a sequence of spiritual sabotage. It could be the beginning of a time of profound restoration. Often, the enemy works in the areas you keep hidden. He acts in the zones you avoid illuminating. But when you bring to light what was suppressed, when you publicly declare a decision born in secret, you weaken the power of accusation. You silence voices that once imprisoned you. You overcome shame, fear, and pride. Because no one who sincerely decides to return is rejected by the Father. On the contrary, those who choose to return are received with honor, with new garments and a restored covenant. It doesn't matter how long you've been apart. It doesn't matter how much you've erred, gotten involved in things you shouldn't have, or remained silent when you should have taken a stand. Today is the acceptable time. Today is the day of reconciliation. And this decision you're making, even if it seems small, is being written as a memorial before the throne. Because I don't just look at outward actions, I examine the heart. And if your heart has bowed in this moment, then I tell you, that's enough. That's enough to move heaven. That's enough to break down resistance. That's enough for me to begin making everything new. And perhaps you're wondering, does this really have spiritual value? Does this phrase, this touch to the heart, this public comment, change anything in the invisible world? And the answer is yes. Because in the kingdom of God, faith manifests itself in actions. True faith always moves. It always reacts. It always chooses to escape apathy. It always responds. And your response today, however simple it may seem, has eternal implications. Because it's not about the gesture itself, but about what it represents. It represents repentance. It represents decision. It represents return. You are not alone at this moment. There is a cloud of spiritual witnesses watching you. There are angels on a mission. There is a Father with outstretched arms. There is an entire heaven celebrating every soul who chooses to reconnect with their origin. And what you decided today, however discreet it may have been, was perceived in the spiritual world as a sign a flag, a light shining in the darkness, a cry to return home, and that cry was heard. So don't stop here. Keep responding to what the Spirit is showing you. Stay strong. Keep taking a stand, because this prophetic gesture today is just the first step. Many other doors will still open. Many other levels of intimacy will still be unlocked, but it all begins with a response. And today, your answer was clear. Heaven heard, and something new has already begun to be born within you. Now that you've heard, felt, and responded to my call, I want you to rest. Not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you has begun to be restored. And that's enough for peace to return. Yes, I know the battle. Continues. I know there are things you still can't resolve, decisions that still hurt, doubts that insist on screaming in the silence. But I'm here, not as a distant idea, but as a living, faithful, and constant presence. And I want you to feel that now, as you breathe more lightly. You are not alone, you never have been. Even on the days you walked away, the moments you questioned my will, the times you thought about giving up, I was there. When you cried without the strength to pray, when you felt too dirty to talk to me, when you looked in the mirror and thought there was no more time, I stood by your side, waiting patiently, loving without measure. Because I never gave up on you, and I never will. What is broken, I can rebuild. What has been tarnished, I can purify. What has been lost, I can bring back. But more than that, I can renew what you thought was beyond repair. You are not doomed to failure. You are not the mistake you made. You are a son. You are a daughter. And I do not abandon those who carry my name in their spirit, even when they forget it for a time. My comfort is not made of empty words. It brings real relief, true healing, and a possible new beginning. I welcome you back like a father who runs to meet his son when he's still far away. I clothe you again with honor, with identity, with purpose. It doesn't matter how far you've strayed, nor how many times you've fallen into the same error. Today, heaven celebrates your return, because the decision you made here within is worth more than the falls of the past. I see the guilt that still tries to imprison you, the thoughts that tell you you're not worthy, that this restoration isn't for you. But I break those lies now, because the cross has already paid the price for your reconciliation. You don't need to live demanding perfection from yourself. I just want your heart back, and you gave that to me today, so rest, just rest. Feel the comfort that comes from above. I am touching your soul now, warming areas that have been cold for years, reopening spaces you had closed off out of fear, hurt, or disillusionment. I am dwelling within you again, not as a visitor, but as a father who has come to stay. You will still go through processes, yes, but you will no longer go through them alone. The journey may be long, but now it is accompanied. And every time you forget what you're feeling right now, come back to this moment. Remember this peace. Remember this touch. Because this is real. This is eternal. This is the beginning of a new time, a time where pain will no longer be your identity, where the fall will no longer be your memory, where the promise will once again beat stronger than any guilt. You've not just been forgiven, you've been found again. And that changes everything. From now on, you no longer walk trying to save yourself. You walk because you've already been saved. And it's with this faith that you'll look ahead, certain that there's something waiting for you just ahead. Now that your heart has been reached by this word, it's important that you continue this journey, because what you're experiencing isn't an isolated event. It's not just another emotional moment that will pass when the video ends. This is part of something bigger. It's part of a spiritual process that heaven has initiated within you, and which, if you allow it, will take you to a level of depth few dare to touch. But for this transformation to not be interrupted, for this flame to not be extinguished. You need to nourish yourself with the right direction, day after day, word after word, understanding after understanding. There are messages that prepare you for what's to come, others that confront the dormant areas of your soul. And there are also those that open your spiritual eyes, revealing truths that were hidden by the voices of doubt, pain, or the distractions of this world. And the next message was generated precisely in this place, a space of revelation, where I remove the veil from your mind and make you see what the natural eyes could never perceive. I now want to lead you to a word that brings discernment on a topic that has left many of my children confused, anxious, and even discouraged. Silence. Those periods when you pray intensely, cry out sincerely, fast, consecrate yourself. And yet everything around you seems static. No clear answer comes, no doors open, no external change occurs. And what hurts most in these moments is not just the silence itself, but the feeling that I am far away, that I have hidden myself, that I have left you alone when you most needed a sign. But I want you to understand something very important. My silence is not indifference. My silence is construction. It was never absence. It is, in fact, invisible movement. While you thought nothing was happening, I was organizing everything from within. I was rearranging pieces you couldn't see, healing wounds you didn't know existed, breaking chains that had been binding for years. And this takes time that only heaven understands. Because while you ask for a quick answer, I am preparing a complete answer, one that not only resolves what you asked for, but transforms who you are. So if you've ever wondered why I'm silent when you cry out most, why answers seem so slow, why promises haven't yet been fulfilled, then you urgently need to hear what's in the next message, not out of curiosity, but out of spiritual necessity, because it will unlock something within you. It will change your perspective on time. It will make you realize that not every delay is a delay. Sometimes it's deliverance, sometimes it's strategy, sometimes it's love. Now go to the video. God's silence has a purpose. This title isn't just a pretty phrase. It's a spiritual truth that will resonate within you. Because in this video, I'll show you what really happens behind the scenes of silence. You'll understand why I hid for a while, why some processes took longer than you expected, and why certain prayers haven't yet been answered as you imagined. And more than that, you'll learn to trust even without understanding. You'll learn to remain steadfast even when you feel nothing. You'll learn to love my presence even when it doesn't seem visible. Watch carefully. Watch as if you were watching a spiritual map, because what's there is a direct continuation of what began here. It's not just about content, it's about direction, it's about alignment, it's about response, it's about revelation. I've crafted this sequence precisely to touch deep layers of your life that need healing, understanding, and repositioning. And if, up to this point, some part of this message has already spoken to you, if something within your heart has already moved, if your eyes have filled with tears, or if a weight has been lifted from within you, then don't stop here, because this is just the introduction. The next word was written for those who want to go further, for those who are not content to live only on the margins of faith, for those who are tired of the superficial and want to dive deeper, for those who are willing to be shaped, confronted, purified, and then sent with purpose. I tell you clearly, the message in the next video will reorganize your soul. It will help you understand cycles that have repeated themselves, doors that have closed, relationships that have fallen apart, decisions that seemed meaningless. Because there is a pattern in silence, and that pattern is revealed only to those who remain, only to those who listen until the end, only to those willing to walk with me, even when the paths seem confusing to human eyes. So, when this video ends, don't turn it off. Don't go back to your routine. Don't silence what my spirit has already begun to awaken within you. Go straight to the next video. Watch with reverence, with focus, with an attentive spirit. Because this continuity carries something that can unlock answers you've been waiting for months, maybe even years. Click on God's Silence Has a Purpose. Bring your Bible if you can. Take notes if you want. But above all, listen with an open heart. Because there, I will be waiting for you once again. And what I will reveal to you will seal the answer you so desperately needed. And more than that, it will prepare you for what is about to come. Are you ready to understand silence? Then we'll meet you there, because the sky still has much to say, and you still have much to live. Now, take a deep breath. Feel what's happening inside. Don't rush to leave this moment. Just stay, because some things can't be explained. They can only be felt. There are moments that never return, and what was released here today for you was more than a message. It was a reunion, a spiritual reactivation, an answer your heart needed to hear for a long time. I've been with you all along, even when you thought you were alone, even when you didn't understand my silences, when you questioned my ways, when you considered abandoning everything. I continued to surround you, protecting you, leading you back. And today, what you've experienced here isn't just a video. It's the beginning of a new spiritual cycle in your life. A time of deep reconnection, of restored consciousness, of emotional healing, of decisions more aligned with heaven. Therefore, I declare now, may you walk from this day forward with the lightness of one who has been forgiven, with the security of one who is loved, and with the courage of one who no longer walks alone. May the voice of the enemy be silenced within your mind. May doubt lose its strength. May sadness no longer dominate you. May every lie about you lose its power. May the Holy Spirit visit you in the coming days with clarity, peace, and renewed sensitivity. And may there be faith where there was once anguish. Where there was once fear, there is now purpose. Where there was once guilt, grace may blossom. You were chosen for more. And now that you know this, don't keep this truth to yourself. There are others who need the same voice that found you today. There are lives waiting for a video like this to not give up, too. You can be the channel, the link, the bridge. So share this message with someone you love, or even someone you don't even know what's inside, but whom the Spirit nudges you to reach. Sometimes a simple click can prevent a fall, and if you felt this word was tailor-made for you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find more than just videos. You'll find spiritual guidance, comfort on difficult days, and prophetic messages that will remind you how much heaven cares for you. When subscribing, activate the bell and select all notifications so that no word goes unnoticed. Each video here is designed as divine succor for weary souls like yours. Like this video, write in the comments what touched your heart most and share it with someone who needs to return to God, just as you returned today.